The film opens not with fanfare, but with a coded number, Earth 828. It's easy to overlook unless you know what it means. The number is a subtle tribute to Jack Kirby, the co-creator of the Fantastic Four, who was born on August 28th. It's not just a nod to a date, it's a signpost. The filmmakers are telling us, from the first second, that this story is grounded in legacy. In fact, the Kirby connection is reinforced again in the end credits, where a quote of his appears alongside the universe ID. If you look at my characters, you will find me. A little of yourself must remain there. These layers establish that Earth 828 isn't random. It's an intentional, reverent space where the spirit of the original creators still lives. That spirit shows up again in the details of the world. When the camera pans through the streets of New York, it lingers, just briefly, on signs and storefronts. One reads Yancey Street, a direct reference to the fictional Yancey Street in Marvel Comics, where Ben Grimm grew up. Yancey Street has always represented the blue-collar, rough-edge resilience of the Thing's backstory. Including it here helps anchor Ben to his comic roots without needing an origin montage. Nearby, a mechanic shop is labeled Stanley's Service Center. That's a dual homage to Stan Lee, whose real first name was Stanley, and to the characters he helped service, narratively speaking, for decades. Just down the block, another storefront quietly displays Timely Comics. That was Marvel's original name in the late 1930s. These signs aren't just Easter eggs, they function as historical context, setting this version of New York as a place where the comic lineage bleeds into the environment. In the first major public scene featuring Johnny Storm, a crowd gathers to cheer him on after a high-altitude rescue. In that crowd are four very deliberate extras: Alex Hyde White, Rebecca Staub, Jay Underwood, and Michael Bailey Smith, the full cast of the shelved 1994 Fantastic Four film. They play ordinary citizens, silently saluting Johnny with nods and camera flashes. Their inclusion is poetic. That movie never got released, but these actors finally get their moment in a version of the franchise that found its audience. It's a full-circle cameo that acknowledges failure, respects history, and connects generations of fans. Later, Sue Storm is shown on the cover of a fictional magazine titled Now Politics, part of a scene that showcases her post-mission media attention. The magazine's font and graphic style reference Down with Love, the 2003 film directed by Peyton Reed. Reed, who went on to direct Ant-Man, once pitched a Fantastic Four film set in the 1960s. That project never materialized, but this Easter egg resurrects his unrealized vision in visual form. In a sense, it folds in another possible past, a timeline where the Fantastic Four entered the MCU much earlier, and with a totally different tone. Inside Johnny Storm's apartment, there's a curious detail that flashes by quickly. A box of Lucky Charms cereal sits on the counter, but instead of the usual Leprechaun mascot, the box art features the original Human Torch, Jim Hammond. Hammond was Marvel's very first superhero back in 1939, long before Johnny Storm ever existed. Including him here is a wink at the long-standing fire-powered legacy within Marvel lore. It also suggests that superheroes in this world have been commercialized, mythologized, and repackaged over time. A world where cereal boxes carry deep-cut references for those who know where to look. In the Baxter Building's lower level, a hovercraft sits dormant in the corner of Reed Richards' lab. Its designation? F1. That's the first prototype of the Fantasticar, the team's signature vehicle in the comics. The design includes segmented pods, retro fins, and retractable jets. Details lifted directly from Jack Kirby's original blueprints. This isn't a flashy debut or a full action sequence. It's just sitting there, half finished. But that's the point. It plants the seeds of the team's technological evolution without rushing its introduction. Even more intriguing is the chalkboard near Reed's workstation. Scribbled across it are terms like dimensional instability, quantum echo drift, and a bold, underlined question: Earth 616. These aren't throwaway technobabble. They connect directly to concepts explored in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness and Loki. The visual of a wormhole diagram nearby further connects Reed's research to multiversal navigation. It's not explicitly stated, but the implication is clear. Reed is already aware of parallel Earths and is preparing for crossover-level consequences. One of the most information-dense scenes in the film occurs when Reed scans through a list of anomalous entities. On a semi-transparent holographic screen, names flicker by too quickly for most viewers to catch. Puppet Master, Mole Man, Mad Thinker, Diablo, and finally, I. Kragoff. That last name refers to Ivan Kragoff, better known as the Red Ghost, a villain obsessed with cosmic rays and accompanied by superpowered apes. He doesn't appear in the film directly, but this corrupted file suggests he's already active in the background. Interestingly, actor John Malkovich had scenes cut from the final version, and it's widely believed he portrayed Kragoff. This file keeps that narrative thread alive, hinting at delayed payoff in future installments. Another sequence explores the tunnels beneath Manhattan, where Sue Storm conducts an energy scan. The system picks up a faint heat signature and renders an image of cracked goggles lodged in rock. The goggle design matches that of the Mole Man, one of the Fantastic Four's first villains in comic continuity. He never appears in the film, but the implication is that something is stirring underground, something ancient, territorial, and unresolved. The goggles function as both warning and forecast. Inside Alicia Masters' sculpting studio, Ben Grimm visits during a moment of self-doubt. Behind her, on an art shelf, sits a jar containing soft, glowing green clay. It's never called out, but it's clearly the radioactive modeling clay her stepfather, the Puppet Master, used in the comics to control minds. Its subtle placement suggests danger disguised as ordinary material. The symbolism is clear. Alicia is surrounded by the legacy of manipulation, even if she doesn't yet realize it. Franklin Richards, the son of Reed and Sue, becomes central to the film's emotional core. In one sequence, he interacts with an alien artifact found in a cosmic energy surge. The artifact triggers a psychic vision. The Manhattan skyline dims, the sun vanishes behind a shadow, and a titanic horned figure steps across the clouds. It's only visible for a moment, but the silhouette unmistakably matches Galactus. No words, no music, just awe. The fact that Franklin sees him and no one else does adds a layer of prophecy to his role in the larger MCU. The final act sets up future conflict in more concrete terms. During a UN summit, a digital sign displays Future Foundation Initiative, an academic and scientific outreach program Reed is rumored to lead. However, one name is noticeably absent from the list of contributing nations: Latveria. Its omission is deliberate. It signals Victor Von Doom's future entry into the storyline, both as a political power and a personal rival. In the mid-credits scene, we see Franklin Richards alone in a sunlit courtyard. He's drawing on a touchscreen pad when a cloaked figure appears beside him, placing a metallic hand gently on his shoulder. We don't see the figure's face, but we do see a gauntlet. It's covered in green armor and emits a quiet mechanical hum. This is our first implied appearance of Dr. Doom. Though he says nothing, the sense of control, intelligence, and threat radiates from his presence. The implication is that Doom has been watching Franklin and possibly manipulating events from the shadows. Following that is the post-credits sequence, a fully animated retro-style short, complete with film grain, vintage music, and exaggerated 1960s cartoon physics. The team battles a giant robot, with over-the-top sound effects and slapstick animation. Just before Ben lands the final blow, he turns to the screen and growls, "It's clobberin' time!" The line is scratchy, pulled from archival audio. The scene ends with a freeze frame and a grainy comic panel border. It's a loving send-off and a celebration of the Fantastic Four's first on-screen life as Saturday morning icons. Even the smallest visual gags carry weight. A digital ad in Times Square briefly flashes a logo for Westview Appliances, a reference to WandaVision, another Matt Shakman project. A passing delivery van reads Kaplan Distribution, named for screenwriter Jeff Kaplan. A street bus stop advertises Attack of the Fungu, a fictional horror film that could be a nod to actor Pedro Pascal's fungal apocalypse in The Last of Us. These touches create intertextual glue across the MCU and pop culture. The Fantastic Four's costumes also reflect deep comic heritage. Johnny's flight suit mirrors his 1970s comic look. Ben still wears his trench coat and fedora when out in public, just like he did to hide in plain sight during early issues. Sue's uniform adapts the classic design with modern tactical elements, combining functionality with iconic symbolism. Reed's clothes remain practical, but hint at his scientist identity with shirts covered in molecular patterns. Every wardrobe choice supports characterization while remaining true to the original spirit. And it's not just costume. Reed hosts a children's science show called Fantastic Science with Mr. Fantastic, modeled after Bill Nye and other beloved science educators. The show's theme music is upbeat and jazzy, evoking a sense of wonder and possibility. This role deepens Reed's portrayal as a man passionate about discovery and communication, showing a side of him rarely depicted in superhero cinema. Finally, the film closes with a heartfelt tribute during the credits. It honors Jamie Christopher, a producer who worked behind the scenes on major franchises like Harry Potter and Star Wars, who passed away recently. It also names Matt Shakman's mother, Inez Shakman, recognizing her inspiration and support throughout production. These personal dedications connect the fictional world with the very real community that brought it to life. In sum, Fantastic Four: First Steps is more than just a superhero origin story. It's a carefully constructed mosaic of comic book history, fan service, subtle foreshadowing, and heartfelt character moments. Every prop, line, and visual cue is layered with meaning. From Kirby's birthday to the quietest corners of Reed's lab, the film builds a living bridge between decades of Marvel lore and the infinite possibilities of the multiverse. It invites fans not only to witness the birth of the Fantastic Four anew, but to join in a shared journey of discovery, legacy, and cosmic wonder.